Alright, so in the previous video, we went through and hypersolved the logo a bunch. In fact, I would solve the logo right now for the 80th time, but I'll stop doing it. I think the joke is getting old on y'all. So we'll jump over to the next item, which is cornerBox. So cornerBox, we want to solve this. And we're just going to jump through all of these using nflow. I think I can show these being defeated by nsolve very easily, but nflow is a little bit trickier and is also a little funner and can result in reusable setup. So let's give it a try. So I'm going to actually start off making a new setup, but I accidentally create two setups, so we're going to just delete that second one, and we will start off with just edge, and we'll put let's see, we'll put project loop. In fact, let's see if we can grab the entire loop, and it looks like we can. And we want to actually use the mode of, let's see, I forget which one it is. Let's see, you press D and it gives us this. So let's go over to scripting and we look at it, and it's called offset. So we want to go back over to project loop, and we just want to change this to be the mode of offset. I actually asked that this become an enum, but it turns out I start asking for things that are actually very complicated, so I have to be mindful of that lest I add additional spend. So something like that, and we want to really optimize that, you know, because we had to draw it and press a couple of keys, and I don't like having to press the keys. The hotkeys is something that I'm wanting to hopefully mitigate over time. So let's just grab this command entirely, and we're just going to paste that in, and I'm going to undo everything. Let's try it again, and we want to press F. We want to press F. That's what it is. We want to press F in order to get this to pull out. So now I'm just trying to figure out which direction I have to pull it. In fact, my brain almost restarted this entire video just because perfection is the only thing I accept when it comes to this content. So I want to insert an edge loop. So we'll actually use an nflow tool for this. So let us just go down under the nflow panel and let us just choose loop cut. And loop cut can be under edge. And we have project loop here as well. And we don't really need it just like that. So we will just insert a loop cut here. And my favorite thing about the loop cut is it's able to do it in a state that's holographic. You also have E and F support for flipping it, so we are able to do a find solution. Previously it was jumping across geometry, as in like jumping across n-gons, which kind of defeats the purpose of having a n-gon, meaning having a loop cut be a edge loop scanner. So for this we want to probably just have maybe shift drag be bevel. So I'm going to just go ahead and do that. So we're just going to type in bevel. And I know these things start off slow, and it's because like I am manually setting this up right now because that's just part of my testing process. Normally this would already be done and we would be jumping into a config that's already perfected. So we'll just turn off loop cut for now and just put that on shift, so that way we're able to, instead of overriding our selection, we just want to add to it, and then we can just bevel it. Maybe press P, A, and that way we now have our bevel with offset. And I'm just going to go over to the scripting and grab that enormous command, and we'll just paste that here. And what that also means is that now if we go inside of our operator settings, we can turn off just offset and offset percentage, because we only need segments and profile. That's all we're trying to do, is just bevel it a certain way. So let us just grab this loop and we'll bevel this as well. And even though it's a little offset, we're just going to grab that loop, get rid of it. And I know we're starting off a little slow here. I mean, and that's important for the viewer. I definitely don't want to make you feel inadequate or jump ahead of you. The goal is to, hopefully get everybody on the same level with using this. So Control T, Alt J, just because we could have a command map to that if we were trying to speed run this like I was doing previously with the logo. But with this thing, we're just trying to survive the solving because this cube can be a little bit deceptive. So we actually want to survive this. And then we could talk about surviving in style. So let us rotate this. And now we have a setup going. And I want to also have analyze around. So let's make analyze. And analyze is not my favorite right now. Like I said, analyze is not my favorite right now. So let us just let's just turn analyze off. It looks like analyze is going to work me this morning. So the good thing about analyze is you exit and re-enter, and it's very peaceful with how it enters and re-enters. So we want to bevel this edge, but we don't want to bevel that edge. And so right now we're just doing a little selection. But we also want to uncheck loop cut for just a moment because we don't need it. So for some reason we are getting the option for project loop. Okay, and it's because we have moved over into the loop reach, which it shouldn't even matter for a basic edge. So this is something I'll need to take up with the coder, but really it should not have happened. That's why I was confused momentarily. So I need to slide that edge over. So let us just go with vert, and we'll just add a mode for slide. So we basically want to just slide edge, but we want more than that. We want to slide the vert, and then we want to slide the edge. But we want to slide the edge if we select an edge, and we want to slide the vert if we are dealing with a vert. I mean, it makes sense when you say it out loud, right? And we could also make that shift. So whenever I shift, click and drag it, it does it. And let's duplicate this so that way we can go ahead and take something like join, because join is just a handy little geometry connector. Sometimes knife is good, knife is great, but knife changed a few years ago, and as a result I just never reconciled with those changes. I mean, I'm used to it, I'm able to use knife, but knife changed, and it was like, why did knife change? It was just a very weird thing for knife to change, because it was I don't know, I always described it as scientifically perfect, and it just suddenly changed. Like I just don't understand the logic of why it changed. And I mean, I know I'm in the minority there, probably sound like a little weirdo, and these are things that Blender has to deal with, people being weirdos over, options changing. But yeah, I loved old knife. I still press the hotkeys for the muscle memory of it, which is weird because usually I get with the program. Alright, so I want to get rid of that edge, so we are going to just... Alright. And we'll choose dissolve edge. And just like that, we now have Alt. We're able to dissolve edges. So it's going to start getting a little weirder now, meaning that we'll need to exit in some events. But we're still having fun here, right? We're still partying. And once it jumps into the solid loop mode, just know that like it does give me happiness. Like this moment when it's in the solid loop mode, it's great. I love this hollow scan mode. And then the actual mode. Like I usually press Control R a lot over the course of retopo, and the purpose isn't always to solve topo, it's just to like look at some loops. So when I was asking for it, it was like a very weird request, and they were like, why would you want a loop cut like that? It's like, I know it's weird, but I think it has a use that I can't explain, except I need it. That's all I can explain. I can explain how badly I need it. Alright, so we want to take this and project it. Alright, and from here, and we want this to actually add to the selection whenever we do it. And we're just being weird right now. I mean, there's obviously no reason to do this. In fact, like, I'm sure the creator is watching me and he's like, hey, why is he doing that? I didn't do that, and he didn't ask that it do that. And I'm like, hey, I kind of needed to do that. That's my problem, is I'm always trying to multi-purpose something. I see uses far beyond. And you see how Vertex just keeps giving a casual little error. It's the cutest little error. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, because as long as it's not crashing Blender, I'm fine. You know, I just need to perform the selection and jump to the other side. And like I said, some of these meshes are deceptive. So the game is survival. Like, you know, I long to do a video where I'm talking about this speedrunning aspect of beating this mesh so bad that it runs from me. But right now, nah, I'm a run from the mesh. And everything on active shift, everything on active movement is terrible. So sometimes I always drop everything like one level down. Like now it's controlled to do stuff. So you got to also be mindful of that, because I mean also, you know, selection, everything's associated with these things. And like, I mean, look right here, Alt is associated with selection. So I need to basically turn off dissolve for just a brief moment. So the config that we're making is kind of temporal, at least in my eyes, but we are getting there. And just having a reminder text at the top of the screen makes it good for if we're like working in full screen, max screen, no more talk to me screen. I mean, right there I press Control R because old habits die hard. But if I were to just hold Shift, then I also have that same behavior for whenever I need it. And so what I want to do is make that connection, and make that connection. Not the nicest looking appearance there for that solution, but you know what, I'm feeling generous today. Generous. No, I'm kidding. I'm just being a weirdo. I mean, what else do you do when you're being a modeler at these lonely times? You know, you're just lonely. You're modeling. It's just you in a dark room. It's just you and the shadow monsters that give you ideas. So I mean, what do? In fact, that edge loop continued on all the way to the other side, which that's why I had to do it again, because we were talking about that earlier. I was like, I don't think edge loop does that, and here we're seeing actual edge loop actually do that. So I don't know, maybe edge loop's growing up or something. You know, I never know. Sometimes I do. So I probably do need knife. I mean, there's no way I just can live without knife. So I mean, we press K and that's it. So we just go over to scripting and we basically brought up the knife tools. So let's just go back to our layout, and what I'm going to do is make it where if you just click on nothing with right mouse click, we trigger knife. So basically it's just us, bam, just like that. We quickly are able to bring up the knife, because in these temporary moments you'll find yourself needing to just like quickly do like the same things over and over, but it's like a temporary thing. Like if you're doing it for an entire model, then that means you basically did your model using the same workflow. And I mean, I don't know, that's maybe not the greatest. Maybe that is your workflow. I mean, who am I to tell you if your workflow is good or not? So look, let's go with point, and I'm going to take point and just add collapse, and let's see, nothing's on control with point. So even though I know it's getting a little messy over here, we're just calling this cornerBox. You know, we're just having a little fun here, just being weird. You know, I try to be loose with the tools, not so strict that like I can't put myself in the user's shoes with their level of randomness, because people always send me things about their experiences with tools, and they're always imagery that's like from Nightmare. So I see that collapse is grabbing things from the other side of the mesh, which is just not good. So I'm gonna just have to see what can be done about. I mean, I'm no genius, but I mean, what would they do? Put it on a Katy tree or something? I don't know. I don't even want to try to wrap my head around such things, but yeah, I see that there's a path needed for that. So we're just performing corrections just casually, you know, even though shift is a little nuts on edge loop right now. We're just not going to talk about that. And we're just solving everything into nice little corners. Basically the simplest solution for this. Alright, and just making sure it's not grabbing anything on the other side. And so we look at this, and I was about to delete that again. I just keep wanting to delete it. I don't know why. So we gotta solve this, but you know, we wonder what the statistics are. You know, it's 23. 23. Ugh. That actually means that we I would use analyze for this, and I actually need analyze for this right now. In fact, when it comes to dissolve, we'll just jump that over to right mouse click, so that way we can just get in here and do a little bit of selecting and just quick moving around, just little Blender actions, you know. Like, I'm always trying to have a backup, and my backup is literally Blender, like Blender itself. Like if something goes bad, my fallback is literally using Blender. Same with HardOp, same with Box Cutter. If anytime something goes bad, you must understand Blender itself, because I mean, that's the program we serve. So there is no bypassing that in knowledge and understanding. And I mean, I have these debates with people on personal levels too, but there is no bypassing the fundamentals. I mean, I guess there is now, right? Like, you could just cheat all day with AI. So, not saying that I'm against AI or anything, just ranting about AI like a bitter old man. So, when it comes to solving the bottom, I was about to just forget about it, but I really want it to be 24. And I don't know why that was actually hard to do. And now it's 22. So, I mean, for some reason, it was difficult for me to set up the situation. I've actually set up multiple times, dealing with this model. Like, I don't know why I just had to deal with a struggle there. But continuing on. So now that I have grid fill mapped to basically boundary, that means that I could select this and just basically immediately use grid fill, which when I first saw this, I was like so amazed. I was like, wow, that's what I've always wanted to see. A better way to do grid fill. Actually, grid fill came out a little up the road. All right. I guess I've never seen grid fill solve that way. Alright, and so now we jump it over to sub D, and we see that we've completed this operation. And I mean, it only took us like 18 minutes to do this, like just casual 18 minutes, and that's a terrible 18 minutes. We should have been able to solve this in like 30 seconds. Maybe not 30 seconds, maybe we'll say 3 minutes. Maybe 3 minutes should be a good average for time it should take us to solve this and get it to this level of sub D with all quads. So let us take a moment and analyze our path there and see if there's maybe a more efficient way that we could get there. So with this shape, I was able to solve it to a somewhat adequate level, but the only way we'll know if our config works is to try it out on another shape. So I'm going to just copy this preset, and then we are just going to open up cornerBox, and from here we'll just press N, go over to nflow, and we are just going to paste that preset and solve it again, except this time, you know, without delay. I will always press the wrong key. I see that now. See, it's basically F, but I do like not having to mess with selection. One of the goals was to assist with selection immensely. One of the main pillars is dealing with selection. So being able to do anything about it would have been just fantastic, but it's just I was too ambitious. I was too ambitious with my goals, and as a result, I will have to double back on a lot of goals. So I've been basically painting to the team a heaven or hell scenario where basically there's hell, where basically I have to keep working on this, and then there's heaven, where basically I don't have any obligation and I don't have to work on it all the time and lead up to what my goals are, because no one will have picked up this product. Every purchase basically puts me up to the obligation of having to do the things that I'm basically promising in these videos, like, hey, I'm going to make a tool that will be legendary, that you will speed run with, that will go down in infamy. And those are lofty promises, but I do see it. I see a product path, and everyone's always like, hey, what about the roadmap? What about the roadmap? But it really is so dependent upon other conditions outside of my control. So even if I were to just promise things, it wouldn't work out, because I would be told in another ear that such things can't possibly exist. And while that is discouraging, it is also accurate. So dissolve edges, we probably just want to let that go for a moment. We'll just bevel this as well, except we'll also add this to it as well, and we'll also do it here. And grid fill appears to want to do something on the boundary. I saw that. I saw you trying to work on the boundary. Alright, and we'll rotate this, and we're only like 3 minutes into this video, just kind of solving it with the system that we configured in the last video. So just having a little fun here, Control T, Alt J. I know it probably looked a little weird there visually. Also, let's grab this. So I kind of use the I call it the holo system, the holographic display system, to kind of piggyback and jump into a selection and to add to my selection. You see me do it a lot of time, and it's hard to basically describe it or express what I'm doing, but it feels great. It feels very great. It feels very great to like add to my selection on this like casual additive like level that's like almost not thinking. So I mean, part of me worries if I will be able to establish the value of the tool to you, but the other part is I definitely see it. And so I mean, all I gotta do is just make a trillion videos using the tool, and everyone will either be cloning it or into it. And here I'm just trying to use shift, but we see that shift is mapped to vertex slide, so we're just going to uncheck that for just a moment. That was a vertex connect. We want vertex slide, my bad. And then also loop cut. In fact, it's easier to not do that and to just check the button. In fact, I haven't even got to talk about the emergency exits yet, because I want to have a config that's very overtaking of the screen, but I need to be able to turn it off casually. Let's pull this down. That worked out great. And here we just exit it with W, and then we can jump right back in, and we can jump this over to the other side, and we basically have completed the solution while we still are able to rapidly jump right back into nflow and continue doing what we left off. I mean, we're only 5 minutes into the video. I mean, it might seem like I'm getting complicatedly caught up in minutia, but really we're just kind of exploring these problems. I'm always in a explorative mode whenever I'm looking at problems. Like I could just jump around everything and hide all the problems and just pretend like they don't exist, but where's the fun in that? The problems and their solutions is part of the product. So let us jump back in. We just want to jump this over to the other side, jump out again. So we're looking at what it's like to have a dominating config, but we're able to just jump back and forth in and out. So this is a way that we could basically complete this run, is to just have it dominate and then we just correct it. So let's take a look at what we have. I actually don't want to do any more loop cutting today, so I'm just going to hide that, and we are going to just I'm going to uncheck that, and then uncheck that, and then check that, then check that, and we'll go with slide, edge slide, alright, and we don't have Verti Merge, or Verti Merge is on, alright, shows my awareness as being low this morning. And we're just sliding. We're just having a little fun here. I mean, obviously I could be working all fast, as fast as a bandicoot, really get this all solved. But, we're just examining the situation. I mean, whenever I'm doing this stuff, I'm always thinking about like a million other things. I'm thinking about IRL stuff, lost friends, dead homies, Goku, you tell a lot about a man by how many times he thinks about Goku a day. Just noticed that I indicated that every man thinks about Goku every day for just a few minutes every day. We think about Kakarot saving Earth. He never used those Dragon Balls for selfish wishes. Just kidding. He used them for a selfish wish, like way back in the day. No, wait, that was Oolong. Never mind. I'm mistaking him for that pig Oolong. My bad. So here we are looking at our final solution, and now this one's 8 minutes. So, this one was a little bit messier, but we could optimize this to be even faster. We're just kind of casually using this in a rough way, just kind of demonstrating how you can make a config and just organically work through it and just really perfect what you're doing with these configs to use it for these micro moments. So even though the process didn't result in the most perfect configuration just yet, we are definitely on our way. We just need to have everything coexist with each other, and really that's not that hard. We could just basically allocate certain things to be on the right click, and then therefore we would have everything work, because we don't always need right click. But I'm already thinking about how we'll expand this in the future, and of course it will go in a way that will add so much more functionality and expandability to it. So with that, we have solved this shape, and I'll wrap up this video.